Good evening, everybody. It is, I want to say Tuesday, but it's not. It's Monday, isn't it? Monday, the 3rd of November. I really have to think about time these days. It's a very strange time indeed. But hello, I'm back. My hands are back. The wee creatures are back. And I hope that you're all well. And you are sideways again. Sorry about that. There just doesn't seem to be any way of putting it sideways just now until I save it and upload it onto YouTube, which I'll do in the morning. So I'm hoping that everything is okay. Please, I think I've had an update or something on the app, so I'm not sure whether everything's working. So if anybody is there, can you just give me a thumbs up or just let me know that the sound is okay, that you can see me okay? That would be much appreciated. It's been a strange time. My goodness, can't remember when I did the last one. Was that back in August? I think maybe August, and it's November, and I don't know how it can be November already. Now I'm getting a message flashed up that the connection is slow, so I'm hoping that that's not affecting or interfering with how we're going to do things. However, I hope, as I say, that you can hear me and I'm not just talking to the wind, which can happen. It can happen and probably often does. Anyway, it's lovely to be back, and I want to say, first of all, a huge thank you to everybody who has donated to the charity raffle for the wee bunnies, which actually I will just, you can see them here. There we go. These are the wee bunnies. You see? So yes, they do make me smile. So thank you very much for everybody who has bought tickets. You know who you are, and it has made a massive, massive difference. So we're up to just over £300 now, which is amazing. You're just all fabulous. And as a result, that means that we're going to have a stretch prize. I think that's the current parlance for crowdfunding. But yes, I will be adding to these bunnies. And I think tonight I will be making something to go with them for another prize, and there may well be a third prize as well. I know that I showed you the turtle that I had started work on, and I will certainly see how I get on. I really want to make a different cane for the shell for that turtle. So tonight I thought I would do something with this avocado, which is a rather fine creature, I must say. Well, it's not creature, but you know what I mean. It was, I don't know whether I told you or not in the little video that I did, but it's a light pool. Would you believe? It's a bathroom light pool. This is I picked it up in the Range. If you're in the UK, you'll know what the Range is. It's a fabulous place, and it's a ceramic half an avocado. So, and it's just perfectly mouse sized. And actually, at the same time, I managed to pick up this light pool donut, which of course that may be another prize. You never know. We shall see. But I thought the avocado tonight would be a good option, a good start, and to make a wee creature again, having not done one on a Brew and a Blether for months. Gosh, it's been a while. I tell you, it's been a very fun sort of. The last sort of 6 months or so has been really quite something. It's been a mix of there's been lots of music, there's been lots of sort of reflecting, and lots of what's going on, what am I going to do. I think it's been necessary after so long of just being like queerness, and that's all I do. I'm now sort of branching out a bit and doing more with music, as you know, and I won't say I'm running, but I'm the chair of the Northwest Early Music Forum, because early music is my absolute favourite kind of music ever, and it has been since I first heard it when I was, 20, something like that, 19, 20, when I was up in Scotland, and I just fell in love with it then, and I have continued to be in love with it ever since. It really is just the most amazing music, which just gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. So I have this chance to actually make a difference and do some work, and hopefully encourage more people to find this amazing music. And we run workshops, practical workshops, which last a full day, and we're all over the northwest of England. I've been a member for like 6 years or something, but it was actually which year? Last year, 2024. That's when I started. That's when I was voted onto the committee, and I don't think I was anything particularly special. They just really needed somebody to help out on the committee. Anyway, so I said I would, and if I do something, then I do something. You know, I don't believe in doing things by half measures. If it's something that you want to do and you're committed to doing it, then do it. Oops, sorry. And that includes obviously tipping over avocados as you do. So yes, it's been quite a wild ride, and a good one. And the last sort of over the summer, I've been just working out how all that's going to fit in with the wee creatures, because they are still a huge part of my life, as you all are. And I really have missed you all over the summer. It's been very strange. It's just been I think we all go through sort of periods of reinvention, I suppose, discovery in the first place. Right, I'm going to have to just put this just more to one side. I thought I'd put it enough to one side, but I haven't. That was a bit annoying. Right, okay. Yes, it's just been a time for reflection and actually saying yes to things after many years of saying no because I've been too busy working. And this year has been the summer of saying yes. And it's led to some amazing experiences, the best of which was no doubt my trip to Venice. That was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's such an improbable city. It's like, how does it even exist? It's so amazing. And to be there, it was an invitation thing. So I was so fortunate to be one of 16 singers. Most of what we were doing was one voice per part. We were doing really, some beautiful Venetian 16th century music in multi-choir with instruments as well. And we're talking early music instruments, so sackbuts and cornets and viols, and it was glorious. So to have that music in that setting, with Enrique, let's not forget Enrique, because he was with me and went swimming all the time. He went over to the Lido, or the Lido, I never quite know how to pronounce it. But yes, he was training for his swim, which he is now. In fact, I can tell you more about it. He's in Mexico just now. He flew out on, what day is today? Gosh, here we go again. Sorry, it's Monday, isn't it? So he flew out on Friday. He was meant to go via Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to, so Manchester to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Mexico City. However, the flight from Manchester was delayed, which meant he missed his connecting flight, and there was no other direct flights from Schiphol to Mexico City. So the KLM put him on another flight back to London Heathrow that evening, and then he caught a 10 o'clock flight at night out to Mexico City. So he was delayed by, a good nearly 12 hours anyway. His luggage didn't quite make it to Mexico at the same time, but thankfully it arrived yesterday. And he's so good at this. I mean, he does so much traveling. And yes, those who are involved in the airline or aviation industry will know the importance of making sure that you have with you that which you cannot do without. So he was very careful and made sure that he had all his absolute essentials with him in hand luggage. So he wasn't stuck. With the luggage being stuck, with the luggage being late. So yes, that all went, that was fine. Eventually I managed to speak to him for the first time since Friday, just earlier on today, and it was lovely to see him. He phoned at about midday, which is 6 o'clock Mexico time. They're 6 hours behind at the moment, I think. Because he's not there on holiday, he's there working as well. He's able to work remotely. But most, he's having to have meetings in Berlin or by video call to Berlin and to London and to Spain and whatnot. So he's sort of getting up in the middle of the night and having these meetings. Oh, he's a marvel. He's just a marvel, and I do miss him. But I'm so glad that I can do this to support him. He's just, for all the years, it's been 10 years now that we've been together, and he's always just pushed himself and striven. I'm not sure. Anyway, he's always pushed himself and tried to do the best that he possibly can, and has never really been one just to sort of sit back and watch television of a night. Although we will do that when we get a chance, but he's always off doing something and very busy. And I guess I'm a bit like that myself. So it works well. I do miss him when he's gone, but we're in touch, and I'm certainly keeping busy enough with my own things, which yes, I have enough to keep me busy. So yeah, it's kind of like we go apart, we do our own things, we come back together, and and nothing ever gets boring because we're not spending every single minute of the day with each other. It actually works out very well for us, but I appreciate it's not an ideal lifestyle for everybody. But it also means with him being away that I can be working late in here if I need to, or going out singing, like I'll be going out tomorrow night for that. I'm getting ready for a workshop on Saturday in Sale, South Manchester. This is our last one of the year, and it is with the tutor Gawain Glenton, who is a cornet player, and I don't mean the ice cream cones. It's a Renaissance wind instrument that just basically looks a bit like a curved recorder, but you blow it using a mouthpiece which is like a trumpet mouthpiece. So it's just one of these amazing instruments which just I find fascinating, but I know very, very little about. I just like to sing the stuff, so I don't know anything about early music instruments and whatnot. So anyway, that's going to be a very fun week. Well, Saturday, I should say. It's going to happen on Saturday. But yes, there's lots to get ready for before then. And here I am, being able to catch up with you guys and tell you all that's been happening. And I'm sorry if there are, I can't see any comments if anybody's leaving anyway, and you may not be. And I'm really hoping that the sound and the video is working okay, because I think my connection's quite slow, and yeah, Facebook is not great about sharing information on occasions. Anyway, so just to recap, gosh, that was a long blether with lots of meandering, traveling all around the world and across the centuries with all the things which I'm doing just now. If you ever get a chance, I don't know whether anybody knows or has listened to early music, but it's becoming more popular these days, I think, particularly with there's some excellent singing groups which specialise in this music, and it's so rich, and I just find it absolutely beautiful to sing. And beautiful to listen to, although I don't listen to it very much. I much prefer to sing it than to listen to it. And I was away out this weekend, so Enrique flew on Friday eventually, and then I was singing on Friday night. I had a rehearsal on Friday night because I sing in a couple of churches. I'm not religious or anything, but I just absolutely adore the music. So, and I've managed to either find or set up small groups where we get to do this kind of music in a church setting in beautiful buildings, all doing Renaissance polyphony, one voice per part, which is my absolute favourite. I think it's quite niche. I didn't realise it was niche. I just assumed that everybody would just fall in love with it or would want to sing it, but it's not that common, to be honest. But as a result, it means, because of what I'm doing with all the workshops that we run, and I'm also actually on the board of the National Early Music Association, which is just starting to, we're building a new website, and that's a great way of promoting this music as well. So I'm doing a lot of design for them, sort of designing their logo and doing some leaflets. I'm going to be down in London actually next week for a few days at the London International Festival for Early Music in Blackheath. So, and that's representing both the Northwest Early Music Forum and the other early music forums, because there are 9 in total, and we cover the whole of the UK. So I'm sort of speaking to all these great people who are running forums elsewhere in the country, and I get to speak to some of my absolute hero early music musicians as well. You know, it's really, I'm very, 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 very fortunate. So that's, I realise actually I've never really spoken very much about this side of things, but it's become such a big part of what I do, and it is. I mean, it's meaning I'm not spending as much time with the wee creatures as I used to, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because for so many years I was just doing just querness for hours and hours and hours on end, sort of like 12, 14 hours a day, and saying no to everything, because I had to work. So actually, this is probably overdue for me to have a little bit of a work-life balance, and the joy is still being able to share it with you. So I won't go on very much about early music, because it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I appreciate that you're here for the wee creatures. It's like, just the wee creatures, ma'am, just the wee creatures. And they're supporting, they're happy, very, very happy, I think, that I'm happy. So it's lovely finding the balance, I think, and I do know how fortunate I am to be able to both do, make wee creatures, make a living with my hands, although the summer has been a bit, well, anyway, I've not been here very much. Yes, but it's all good. I'm just moving the avocado again because I have a feeling that I'm going to clatter into it again. And as I've been chatting around through all this, I'm making 2 mice, but I think I might make a third one, to be honest. I think it needs a mouse. Let's just have a look at this. I think it needs a mouse on either side of the avocado. I think one needs to be hanging over the top, sort of climbing up the back of it. And I would like to have one on the stone, but to be honest, or the pit, I should say, but to be honest, that kind of would make it look maybe not quite so avocado-ish, if that is indeed an adjective. But I think one on either side. Maybe I'll just have one on the side, putting a paw on the stone rather than actually standing on the stone, and I'll have one climbing up the back and peering over from the top. So I think this is going to be a 3 mouse avocado. Have you noticed that I often do things in 3s? I very rarely do them just in 2s, 1s or 3s. I don't know what it is, whether this is just my latent OCD that comes out every now and again. It could well be. And I'm saying that I'm going to be doing another mouse, and I realise that I haven't actually weighed out the clay for a 3rd mouse. So let's just, in fact, I think I'm going to have to get a little bit more clay, so just hold on there. Where is my white clay? There we go. Right, I am back. So I'm just going to cut another little block of white clay here. I'm very fortunate that the clay doesn't really go off. I've had some, I've got some clay which is years old. It could even be a decade old, but sometimes it gets a bit crumbly. But you can revive it quite nicely. It's again, I'm still in love with it as a material. But one thing that I have started, I'm looking at miniature throwing pottery. I'm not quite sure how else to describe it, but I don't know whether you've seen, there's a growing, I won't say a craze, but certainly a growing interest in miniature pottery wheels, like just really, really small, and then you get a tiny little nub of clay and stick it on the bat, and then you can just like make a tiny pot with your fingertips. I'm fascinated by the prospect of it, I must say. I've not done anything about it. I am so far just at the research and the ooh, doesn't that look like fun stage. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. But Yeah, I just have this at the moment. I have this sort of idea of making little vases for the mice to play around on, and doing that myself. I don't know whether that's feasible or not. I follow. Do you remember? I would just, actually, whilst I'm talking about the ceramic side of things, but do you remember I had some ceramic? I found some ceramic iced gem biscuits. Now, I think I think Anna was the one who put me onto them. I can't remember, and I'm sorry if I've got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure somebody found them. Somebody came across them on Facebook or something and pointed me in their direction, and I was like, "Oh my God, these are fantastic!" And I bought a few and gave them to some mice and some penguins. I think I got about 3. I'm not sure that he's selling them anymore. His name is Adam, and it's Adam Ceramics, and he was on the Great Pottery Throwdown a couple of years back, I think. And he has since gone on and he does lots of miniature pottery. And so I follow him on Facebook. And I follow his the reels and the videos that he does. And not only does he throw on a tiny pottery wheel and does it amazingly well. I mean, really, I will post a link to his page, because his work is just phenomenal. But not only does he throw tiny pots, but he's also got into microwave firing. Okay, now this part of me thinks, oh my God, that's so dangerous. But there's apparently special. Stop me if I'm, if you've already come across something like this. But it's fascinating to me, this idea that you can actually. It's like having a kiln which can go, a tiny kiln that can go into a microwave, and because it's so insulated and it's all reflective on the inside, it can heat just with the microwave, just with the way the microwaves work. It can heat up whatever's inside this kiln up to like 1,000 degrees centigrade. I mean, to me, this is like, oh my God, that sounds so dangerous. But he talks you through it, shows you how he does it, and he's got all these sort of big tongs and gauntlets to make sure that he's not burned. But the things come out, they only stay in the microwave for like 10 minutes or something, or not even. Whereas, normally if you were firing it at a normal temperature, it would have to go in for quite some time. I don't know how long, and sorry, I'm a bit clueless when it comes to the actual mechanics of ceramic pottery. But you've got to, it's got to be dried out thoroughly. It's got to be then bisque fired, then cooled down, then glazed, and then, in again. And it just seems like an awfully long, drawn out process. And it's a process that has kind of put me off doing anything more about ceramics. So I take my hat off to Phoenix Jones, listen to me, Paul Jones of Phoenix Glass, who has since started a really, really successful pottery business. And his work is lovely. I mean, he's really one of life's true artists. He can turn his hand to anything. Consummate artist. So I take my hat off to him for what he's managed to do, both with his glass work and now ceramics. It's just wow. So this idea, though, of being able to put your tiny jars, your tiny pots into a microwave kiln. I think that it's sort of mostly I think it was intended really for jewelry making, fused glass, that sort of thing. I think that's the name of the actual. It's like a fused glass microwave kiln, something like that, the name of it. Anyway, but the idea that you can just put tiny things and fire them at very, very high temperatures in a microwave. And granted, he has his microwave outside, which I think is very sensible. I would not want to do this in the kitchen, for example. But he shows that it seems to be, as long as you take precautions and all the rest of it, it seems to be pretty safe. And these things come out of this kiln, from what he's posted, they come out of the kiln glowing red hot. And he does raku firing with them. That's where you put them into sawdust and let the carbon basically interact with the glazes, and it comes out with like just amazing, iridescent, shiny. Just you can just never tell what's happening with a raku fired pot. It just comes out with really unique finishes. So yes, he's doing all that on a really tiny scale, and he's very generous and is willing to share what he does and all his techniques and whatnot with on Facebook, rather than insisting that it's a paywall or whatever. So I'm really impressed by him. He's so generous with his work, with his techniques, and clearly is absolutely in love with the ideas and the possibilities and the potential of what you can do with this. And I love the idea of it, that it's just, you can do this in your back garden with a microwave and a small kiln and a small pot, and you can just work on a micro basis. And, you wouldn't be surprised to hear, I'm sure, that actually working on a small scale is quite appealing to me, really. So I don't know whether I'll do anything about that. At the moment, I just, I'm getting back into the wee creatures. I'm enjoying rediscovering them again. I loved doing that Millefiori cane. I've still got a very small part of it left, actually. That's all I've got left of it. And I have one snail to make. And I was doing that for the turtle that I'd started on as well. Let's just put that mouse to one side as well. In fact, I'll just put a little bit further out of the way. So I'm just going to do roll out the third mouse, condition this clay. These are 5 gram little bits of clay that I'm using. And funnily enough, I'll come back to the Millefiori in a second, but I was thinking back. I never keep notes of, I used to keep a record. It was usually just a post-it note that I scribbled on of all the measurements of clay that I would use for particular creatures. And a 5 gram mouse used to be the tiny mice, the ones which didn't have any feet. And they were very, I did them a lot for Christmas decorations and things. And I really like them. They're really cute. But now a 5 gram mouse is like a proper miniature mouse. It has feet and tails and all the rest of it. So, well, they have, I should say. One mouse does not have more than one tail. But yes, I think the simplest way of saying what I'm doing is they're getting smaller, and I'm really enjoying working on the small scale. So it's so strange, over the years, the wee creatures have just grown smaller and smaller and smaller for whatever reason. And I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying watching their evolution over 16 years. How can it be 16 years? But that's my battle cry. I always wonder how the time has flown by as quickly as it has. And I really do have to stop and think what age I really am. And it's probably best I don't talk about it too much, to be honest, because I certainly don't feel what my, the headline age is. It's just a number. It's just a number. Anyway, so Millefiori cane. So I really, I know that Nick Valentine in the group has shared lots of great videos showing how doing lots of different techniques using inks and various other methods. And of course I did all those marble cats and sugar mice. Oh gosh, whenever it was, earlier in the year, can't remember exactly when. So I'm fascinated by doing more of the Millefiori. I don't think I will do a repeat of the Venetian Millefiori cane that I did, because it really was incredibly work intensive. I mean, the amount of individual canes, I think I made about 12 or 14 individual canes, and then had to reduce each of them down and then put them all together. So yes, in fact, I don't know whether you'll be able to see that. I don't know whether I can adjust the focus on that. But that's a slice of the cane, and there are some duplicates in there, but you'll be able to count each of them. There's like a couple of hearts and a couple of flowers and some stars, and wow, I mean, how that's done with glass, I'm just amazed. And that's another thing, actually. It's a bit doom scrolly, but not in a negative way. But I love watching glass blowers work. I think this is probably all inspired by my time in Venice. Because I was just, I was glued to the window of all these shops and all these amazing artists doing all this wonderful work. And you remember the little bear that I showed you? That I'm friends now. I'm in touch with the chap who made it, David Friso, I think his name is. He doesn't speak English. I don't speak Italian, but Google Translate has helped us to communicate because he's captured in glass what I try and capture with the wee creatures in clay. So, but to be able to do that at 1,000 degrees or something, I'm like, wow, that's just incredible. He's just an amazing artist, and his wife is as well. And it's just, that's Venice. That's what they do. They do amazing artistry and glasswork, and to watch it happen is just, I really do find it just fascinating beyond belief. So, I mean, if you ever get a chance, you might have already started watching or seen some of them, but there's lots of videos about various aspects of the glass blowing process, and just how how it's done at these massively high temperatures, and everything has got to be done so quickly. I just, there's something absolutely magical about creating something so beautiful from such an industrial process. And I think that about metalworking as well. It's just that to me, I'm absolutely fascinated by that prospect. And actually, that, I don't know whether I ever, well, maybe I can't remember whether I've told you this, but as I'm having a bit of a what can we say, a meander down, I'm doing a bit of navel gazing, I think is probably the best way to say it, whilst my hands, muscle memory is just taking over here, by the way. And I know I'm not talking at all about what I'm doing, yes, navel gazing. So when I first gave up my job as a lawyer, which was in 2009, and the wee creatures at that point hadn't found me, because I absolutely believe that they did. And I think this was before Zeus and everything. This was just after I'd given up my job, so 2009. And there was a show on BBC which they were asking for people to apply for it, and it was Mastercrafts. If you remember this, it was on BBC Two, and it was a show. This was sort of before all the great pottery throwdowns and all that. There's been a whole span of them ever since. I'm just getting, there's a little hair in there that was annoying me, so just making sure that's weeded out. So I actually applied to take part in this show. So it was not long after I'd given up my job as a lawyer. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was before I rediscovered polymer clay. So I was trying all sorts of individual, card making, jewellery making, needle felting. I was just, this was in my 6 months full permission to play stage. That's what I was doing then. And so this opportunity came along, and I thought, oh, well, I would always love to try metalworking and working at the forge for the same reason. This idea of creating something so delicate and beautiful from an industrial process. Just wow. Seriously, wow. And so I applied, and I said, oh, I've just given up my job as a lawyer, and this is, I really want to do more with this. So they came out actually, and they interviewed me they filmed me in the house and asked me lots of questions, and I talked about what I wanted to do and all the rest of it. And although it didn't go further than that, and I am actually very glad that it didn't go further than that, but it was a really interesting process. And I, sometimes I wonder what would have happened had that actually gone anywhere. But it's been a really interesting sort of past, 16 years it's been. It's over 16 years now. It's quite, I find it, I don't know where the time has gone. It has weeked by at a great rate of knots. but there's been so many wee creatures that have appeared during that time. So much flob to to clear up. So many rummages in the eye boxes. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I'm up. I'm not quite at 10,000 photos on my Flickr page, but it's getting there. I haven't done a blast from the past for a while, have I? Revisited one of the pages. I think it's up to like 90 odd pages of Flickr, Flickr pages now. So it's fun going back and meeting them all, and just revisiting creatures that I'd forgotten had even appeared. So I'm so very grateful to them, and so I didn't want anybody to think that I was going away or they were going away. It's just this summer has just been a time for reevaluating, reappraising, reflecting, and just yeah, I suppose just taking stock of what's happened over the last 16 years, and yeah, it's been a good process. I can say that now that I'm kind of on the way out on the other side of it, but at the time it's been quite disconcerting is a good word for it, actually, because when you're kind of going, but I don't know what I'm doing now, then yeah, it's just a bit disconcerting. So here I am, easing my way back in, and what better way to start than by doing a charity raffle to support my amazing husband, who is going to swim 22 kilometers in Acapulco. He's a marvel. He really is a marvel. Anyway, I am just going to roll out this clay to make some ears. And I certainly would like to, I have to do at least one rummage through the eye box for old time's sake. Just to, and get one. I think this one's going to stand on the ground. And that one's going to be on the other side. Actually, sorry, I don't know whether you can see that. So they're going to be on either side of the avocado. And this one here is going to be peering down over the top. But yes, so again, it's so strange because they're there in just sort of very basic form. But to me, they're just alive. They're kind of squeaking at me going, we want eyes, we want ears, we want paws. What's going on? Yes, so it's it's a bit of a strange one. And actually, something else I've been doing whilst Enrique's been away, and in between all my various activities, whether I'm out at concerts or singing or doing whatever, or running workshops or meeting people or whatever it might be, when I come home, I quite enjoy catching up with television. But we don't have a television license. We don't watch live television, haven't for years, and long may that continue, basically. I just think it's modern mainstream television is a bit dire these days. I'm sure that there are honourable exceptions, but we don't miss it at all. So yeah, we really don't miss it at all. Anyway, but we do have some box sets, and we do watch films, DVDs, things like that. We just don't ever watch terrestrial television. And I'm rewatching all the Sherlock Holmes videos. The Benedict Cumberbatch film series, which came out 15 years ago. Sorry, that I just discovered that yesterday, and I couldn't believe it was 15 years. But then, so that actually came out. Yes, because I remember I was asked to do a Benedict Cumberbatch, a Sherlock, a pair of Sherlock mice, which I did do, and I must share a picture of it again because I enjoyed researching them. I'm just rolling out the ear, the pale ear insert, I should say. But yes, so I enjoyed researching. I hadn't watched the series at the time when I was asked to do it, but I do certainly remember having a lot of fun, sort of getting the stills, just doing the research without knowing anything about the show or the series or the characters or anything like that. I think it was somebody in America who asked me to make them. But yes, I very much enjoyed doing that. And there's something, the wee creatures, when they're being somebody famous, I don't know how they do it, but they actually do seem to take on the embodiment of that person. So I will share with you a picture of the two Sherlock mice that I made many moons ago. But it's good fun to watch them again. I'm also notorious for falling asleep on the sofa. It seems to be, it's like that's the signal to my body just to kind of down tools and say, right, she's relaxing now. Quick, get some sleep. So I'm actually, it's like I'm watching them for the first time, because I'm not sure that I have ever seen any of the episodes in their entirety without falling asleep. So now because Enrique's not here, and I do miss him dearly, but it is giving me a chance to actually catch up and watch all these shows which I normally fall asleep in, and which I can't really ask him again to watch them with me, because he does stay awake for them, and it wouldn't be fair. So I am catching up on all the viewing that I've fallen asleep to over the years. And the Sherlock, it's really nice to watch them again. They have aged very well. They've stood the test of time very, very well, and such a well-made series. So I'm not sure that there's anything that's comparable to that, or maybe there is, but I've not been aware of it. So yes, that it is good fun. Anyway, right, there the ears cut out. Now I don't actually have very much. Oh, that's it. I remember I'd bought some. This is the clay that I use for the paws, the inside of ears, and tails. It's Fimo Professional Doll Art, and the colour is Rose, if you're interested. So I have lots of this, and I'm trying not to create a paw mountain. I don't know whether you remember, I kept on, every time I sort of had a little bit of leftover clay, it sort of joined this pile of little paws and tails and things. It was all a bit grim. So I don't do that anymore. I do try my best to sort of keep all the clay as, well, I just try not to hoard it too much. But it doesn't seem to matter. My workbench, no matter how often I sort of clear it and tidy it, there's always then little piles of clay that spring up, because you never know when you're going to need it. So yeah, in fact, I don't know whether I'll be able to do this. That's what's on my bench just now. That's what I can see in between all what I'm doing with the mice just now. Hope that worked out okay. Yes, so I work in a very small clear space, and the rest of it is just covered in absolute, piles of scrap clay and whatnot. So, right, there's just, I think because I've not been in here much over the summer, I think the flob quota has rather increased. Maybe it's just dust because I've just not been in here moving around and all the rest of it. But anyway, so I'll just roll this out onto the thickest setting, and then I can cut out little paws. So I'll just do one tonight. Oh, what time is it? Oh, it's nearly 9:15. How did that happen? And I have just not stopped talking, have I? And I've no idea. Again, I've still got no idea, because I think the connection is quite slow. So I can see that a few people I think are watching, but I don't know whether you're still there. But I hope it's been clear, and I hope that it's not been horrible to watch, or it's not been in the right place, or the volume's not been right. But if you are there, I very much appreciate you joining me, and it's lovely to just be chatting, knowing that you're still there. So, well, I'll pretend that you're all still there, even if I can't actually see you. Makes me feel better for the thinking of it. Right, that's a couple of feet that I am doing, and I always sign, the mice that are standing, it's best to sign their paws before they start getting attached onto the mice, because then, it just means that it's not an extra step that I have to take that could potentially deform the mice, if you know what I mean. So this is me just making, they're going to be the arms, the paws that will hold on to the side of the avocado. And this is going to be the tail. So actually I need some wire. This is what I use for the tails. I've found that the rose gold copper wire is the best because it doesn't actually discolor. You know, it's roughly the same color. It's in the same ballpark as the clay itself, so it doesn't affect the color of the tail. It doesn't affect the color of the clay, if that makes sense. So yes, and then just that's going to be for the tail thing. Sorry about my arm there. And actually I might need yes, I'll do a bigger, I'll do a mouse ear sized tail. Yes, because I will be trimming down the tail once it's attached to the mouse, and then I can, but it needs to be big enough to fit through the wire to begin with. Have I ever made a tail on here? I don't know that I ever have. I must have. I've done so many of these now. So I'm doing a sort of a short stubby thing, and then just pushing the wire as close to the center of it as possible, because I want it to be as evenly in the middle of this without coming out the other end. And then it's a case of just kind of pulling it up the wire. So gradually eking it out, not making it too thin, trying to make it as even all round. Getting rid of the flop when it happens. Oh, that's not too bad actually, it must have gone itself. And it, you know, there's lots of spare clay at the other end, but that's where it's going to get nicked off once it's bent. So, and then once that's more or less in place, then I will do so like kind of 2/3 of the way down the tail, and just one bend to turn it into the tripod, basically. Can't handle the clay too much, basically, because it'll push its way through the clay. So I'm still trying to keep it as much in the center of the wire as I can. And then I just need my needle nose pliers just to bend that, because that's what's going to go into the bum of the mouse for the standing mouse. And this tail, it looks really long, but I will trim it to about there, basically, and round it off, but that gives me enough to play with anyway. So there we go, that's the sort of the component parts. So I'm going to put this mouse, he's going to be the one that's looking up from standing on the left hand side as I'm looking at it. So let's put a couple of eye holes. And if you're willing to stick around and watch a quick eye rummage, but I know I'm always going on a bit late here. I've realised that I've just been blethering so much and haven't really achieved as much as I hoped. I think as well I'm slowing down. I don't think that that's in a bad way, and it's not because of any health issues or anything like that, but I'm conscious that it takes me longer to make things than it used to. And I don't know whether that's me just I want to be more careful, and therefore I'm not just, you know, batting my way through them. Maybe I'm just making the wee creatures more mindfully these days. But whatever it is, I just seem to it takes me longer to make them. And that, I'm not unhappy about that, I must say. I mean, it means that I make fewer, but there's something just quite, I don't know, it just means that I can really just enjoy them. And I can sort of have little conversations with them, and then, you know, they're very special. So yes, it's just, again, it's sort of, and that nose is too big actually. Oh yeah. So there's something more, I don't know, I'm just enjoying the process even more than I used to, if that makes sense. I'm just really, I'm savouring them more. I think that's probably the best way to say it. So yeah, so when I make them, they're always very special. I mean, they always have been very special, but they're just something even more special about them. This wee nose needs to be a little bit more pointy before I put that on. Yeah, so I don't know whether that makes any sense. This seems to be in a bit of a psychological meander this evening. So if you are still with me, and you're well done. It's been very self-indulgent of me to just talk through what's been going on. So if you are still here, thank you for hanging on and listening, but above all, just for supporting the wee creatures. Right, I think I've got time just for a quick eye rummage, and then I shall bid you all good night, and I'll finish off these guys in the morning, and then I can share with you the next prize. So the idea for the raffle, of course, it will go on until Sunday once he's finished the race, or whatever happens. But you know, once that's happened, actually, this is the wrong eye box. So once it's over, I will be drawing a winner for each of the prizes that I have. Each of the wee creatures that there will be. So there's still, you know, please, if you haven't donated yet, please do, and to be part of the chance for the raffle. I would, Enrique and I really appreciate it, and I hope my head isn't going to be in the way here. This is me peering down through my very, perfect vision from 6 inches distance, basically. But I appreciate that my head gets in the way of actually finding the right size. I think it's those two. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. And I will only, as I say, I'm only doing one for tonight. So at least there'll be a mouse to reward you for your patience in me blethering at great length tonight. This is it. I've saved up all my blethers for you. So I think that's the only reason. But thank you for bearing with me whilst I have been blethering. Right, so let's very carefully put these back. Right, and yeah, that batch of 2mm beads was a bit variable, I have to say. They're just, yeah, lots of different sizes, not uniform at all. Okay, so let's just get those eyes in. There we go. So he's going to be looking up and round from the side. You can see, I don't know whether you can see that, but there's flob. Where does it come from? I mean, really, I am flummoxed. Flobboxed. Anyway, enough of that. That's silly. Right. So yes, that needs to have a scalpel to take that off. There we go. Right. So he's going to be looking up, make sure his nose is straight. Yep, excellent. And then I shall just quickly squish out the ear. And I do love these ball shapers. They do make my life so much easier. And I'm just sort of, it's strange actually, I never really think about what I do, but it's not just pressing it into the clay, but I'm kind of squishing the clay out to the side as well. That doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. So if I just had it like that, it would be too rounded, it would be too domed. So if I carefully take the ear off that, then by rolling it round the edges, that actually makes it thinner and wider. Go figure. I don't think I've ever described that before. And I shall just nick off that bit of flob there. Right. Gosh, it's nearly 5 to 9. I am sorry for going on. Do you think it's better? Maybe I should just say this brew and a blether just is going to last for an hour so that I'm not constantly looking at the clock and going, oh no, it's so long afterwards. Maybe an hour is too much of me blethering. You may feel that. I couldn't possibly comment. It's a treat for me to be able to just ramble, and that's all I'm doing. And I never remember what I say. And I think Enrique's stopped watching them now. I hope so. I'd rather that he didn't. However, he always gets honourable mentions most of the time anyway. Right, okay, so I'm just going to now trim the ear into its cut position. So this is doing it at like a sort of 45-degree angle so that it sits flush to the head at the right angle. And then the trusty medium extender, which they don't make anymore, but I have found something which is supposed to be equivalent. So I can't remember what it's called now, but I did get some and I've not tried it yet. So I'm just roughening up the clay for that. And then, oh, they're just so sweet. Do you know, I think I will never fall out of love with the mice. Any of the wee creatures. It's just their little expressions when they start appearing, you know. And it's a good camera angle actually, because you get to see exactly what I'm seeing. In fact, you're closer than I am. So I just want to make sure that the ear position is more or less in the right place before I start fixing it. And then I'll just use my clay shaper to lightly press it in. And the same on this side. There we go. And then just get them straightened back up a little bit. Sweetheart. They are just, yeah, there's something about them, isn't there? There's something about them. Don't know what it is, but I just think they're just lovely. I'm very fortunate that they chose me. For now. Who knows what'll happen, but it's yeah, they're a big part of what I do, and that's actually been part of the rediscovery process, I suppose. You know, it's like, well, what's my identity? Who am I? And really, we just all are. There's no labels, but I think my brain wanted to say, well, you're a wee creature maker, or you're this, or you're that, and it's like, nah. You are whatever you are in the moment, and this is the only moment there ever is. It's getting all terribly philosophical. I realise I haven't actually signed his little paw, so let me do that very quickly, and then I can assemble him and put him next to the avocado, and at least that'll be one done, and I'll finish the other two off in the morning. So that's the tiny sliver of signature cane that just sits on his paw, and I'll just press that in. So it's much easier to do when the paw is still unattached than it is to do when it is on the mouse. So now it's just a little bit of medium extender on the paw, on the tail as well, because it's all going to go on at the same time. So one paw. That's the other paw, standing up on his hind legs, and I'll shape him once he's next to. This is going to be a little tricky to do actually, because I'll be working upright and you won't be able to see very well what he's doing. But the idea will be he'll be standing curled round, with his head curled round. So he's sort of playing hide and seek, you see. And the great thing, because it's sort of tacky, that's polymer clay for you, it gets tacky. I can sort of position him and push him into shape so that he looks as though he's playing hide and seek, and I'm needing to get another wet wipe. This is getting a bit too dry. So yes, so that is the start of the next prize. And I'm sorry, that's probably not a very good angle. That's probably a better angle. But yes, so I'll have his paw holding onto that. He'll be holding onto the other side as well. We'll have another one. This one will be peering down from above, and the other one will be on this side, possibly with a hand on the avocado pip. So that was all a bit long-winded, and it's 9 o'clock now. So thank you if you're still there. Thank you for staying with me and for putting up with the blethers. And I will post pictures of these wee 3 mice once they're all finished. But thank you so much for for being there. And thank you for being there for the wee creatures. And whilst I'm going through all this kind of re something, whatever, I'm sure, fill in your own word, but there's lots of navel gazing going on, and it's been very worthwhile. But I have missed you all, and thank you very much for coming along tonight, and I shall see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.